talk about pan searing a little bit. So first we're going to do is I've got a stainless steel pan here. You could use a non-stick. I like to use this one here because it really shows what's happening on the bottom of the pan when we sear, and how we're developing the fond and those flavors on the bottom of the pan, which we're going to talk about, like sauce and deglazing after that. So what you want to do first, you want to preheat your pan nice and hot. And while that's getting ready, heating up there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to season our chicken. Okay, so this is also very important when you're working at home, or if you're in a professional kitchen, you're working with the raw protein like this, making sure that you're not cross-contaminating with your hands. So, keep one hand clean for seasoning so that you're not touching raw chicken going back into the seasoning. Okay, salt, pepper. My hands are nice and clean. I washed them beforehand, obviously. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and flip everything over. Where we get good, even seasoning on all of our protein. Alright, so using the water test that I've shown you here before, we're going to see how hot our pan is. Oh, pretty much there. You can see we have it's like the mercury level of water in there. Bouncing around, the pan is nice and hot, okay? I also just want to point out the two other items that we're making for this dinner are the pomme lyonnaise potato. So I've started in the back here, starting in cold water. 2 large potatoes in the jackets, going to bring up to a boil, turn them down to a simmer, slowly cook them through. And then this is something that you can do well in advance. You want to chill them down, and then I'll kind of talk about that later. We're going to cut these into some nice sized potatoes that we're going to pan roast and work on our heat control and get some color. So those are working behind me. And then the third component of the dish will be a broccoli almondine, which we'll do kind of lastly. Okay, just going to get that last little bit of water out of there. Turn the heat down just a couple of notches. Pan does not need to be to that point that it's scorching and burning. All right. I'm gonna add in a little bit of our vegetable oil. Not too much. I don't want grease going all over the place. Coat the bottom of the pan. The reason why we preheat a pan like this is it's actually going to prevent the sticking. It's going to help us in that, okay? And we're going to start with our dark meat, okay? Skin side down. If you can, when you're doing this, try to put the protein in the pan away from you. That way you don't get any splash of fat on you, okay? Now, once they're in there, leave them alone. Okay, don't go moving them around. Okay? Watch the heat, make sure it's not too crazy. Slower and just kind of around a medium to medium high heat. We're gonna get a nice golden brown color on the chicken. I'm starting with the dark meat because the dark meat we're going to have to cook a lot further, okay? It's actually on the bone, so to safely cook it we're going to have to go for an internal temperature of 175 or 180 degrees Fahrenheit on this, versus our breast meat only needs 165, so that's a completely different animal there. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we cook this less, and it all has to do with timing to come together, and I'll explain further as we move on here. Let me just see if I can give you a closer look of the pan here. That's a closer view. Now see, it's only been in here for about a minute, so I don't want to go trying to move it. If you try to move it, it might stick a little bit, okay? And that's an indication to you that it isn't ready to flip yet, all right? So just be patient. It's all about searing. The principles of searing is all about optimizing contact time with surface area. Okay, we go moving it around, shaking it around. We're just, we're combating what we're trying to do. Yeah, more contact, more time is going to equal more browning. All right. Okay, so now we're about a good 5 minutes into the searing process. Notice I haven't disturbed it, I haven't moved or turned anything yet. So let's take a quick look and see what we have, all right? So I'm gonna gently grab one of our thigh meat and over. Yeah, see, that's what it's nice, like golden brown color. That's great, nice and even, right? The thing is, when you disturb it less, you're gonna get a nicer, more even color on the skin as well, okay? Let's give this one a flip. Great. The drums are a little bit tricky because they're round, so you might, turn them 1/3 of the way and then 1/3 of the way again to try to get, color all the way around. Maintain control on your heat. And no swinging the pan around, no flames going on the stove if you're using gas. Everything's nice and controlled, and just being patient. This is a good sear. Go ahead and turn the drums again. Color on the bottom, okay. You can really start to see this nice, beautiful browning on the bottom of the pan. So that's that fond. This is what we're looking for. Help develop the flavors in our sauce as we continue building the layers of flavor in this dish. We have a nice, even golden brown color all around. Total cook time in the pan now has been about 15 minutes, right? Between 10 and 15 minutes or so, depending on the size of your chicken. Nice golden color on the bottom, top. I'm going to set them aside in this pan for a couple minutes while we do our white meat. Now what you can do here is you want to take any excess fat that you have in the pan, and you can actually just strain that off, put it off to the side. You don't need that much, as long as the bottom of the pan is still coated. We have more fat to put in the pan here with our breast meat. So once again, skin side down. Carefully place the breast meat in the pan. Smells good. Now same deal as the dark meat. Don't disturb it, let it sear. Only difference here is we're going to cook this about 1/3 of the time in the pan, most likely than we did the dark meat. So eventually it's all going to go in the oven together. We're going to talk about a braise, and at that point the dark meat will be further ahead in the cooking process than the white meat, and the timing should come out relatively close. So if we put them all in the pan at the same time, you'd end up with either way you're looking at it, a nice tender dark meat that's super fatty, it braised as well. It's really hard to overcook the dark meat, but white meat is easily overcooked. So if we cook the white meat too much, you'd have like really dry breast meat and then some pretty tasty dark meat. But we're going to try to do the chef thing here, time it at the exact right timing to make everything a good high quality and have them at the proper timing. Okay, after about 2 minutes, check and see if it's going to release on the skin. Look at that, there you go. Nice golden brown color on the breast meat. Just a quick flip here. I'm only going to let it go about a minute on this side until it releases from the pan and doesn't stick. Then I'm going to remove it. I don't want this to be far more under than the dark meat, as I was saying earlier. Alright. So take that breast meat out, so it's still pretty raw in the middle. We've just got good color on the outside, okay? Set that aside. And now we're pretty much set up for the next stage, which is going to be sauce. It's going to be step 2. While I'm working on the sauce, I'm just gonna let this like just rest in my oven. I have it like super low at like 200 degrees. And then I'm gonna pull it out, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it all together into a braising format.